The Fed just stood up a task force to figure out whether AI is quietly hollowing out the workforce. Most companies already ran this exact experiment 20 years ago with people instead of software and never went back to check what it cost them. I am Smita, and this is Pathbreakers. Xbox CEO Asha Sharma cut about 3,200 jobs earlier this year. Recently, the Federal Reserve named her a co-lead of a brand new task force studying productivity and jobs alongside venture capitalist Mark Andreessen and Stanford economist Chad Jones, who just left academia to join Anthropic's Policy Institute. Same person, same year, running a restructuring in one building and helping shape the national policy on AI and jobs in another. That's not the interesting part. The interesting part is the question underneath it. The one the task force actually exists to answer. When output per worker goes up, is it because people are doing more valuable work or because there are fewer people left to divide the output by? Same chart, opposite story. And from what I am seeing, most companies can't currently tell you which one they are looking at. None of the three people setting the terms here are neutral about AI. Sharma came into Xbox from Microsoft Core AI division and is now restructuring the business around AI driven development. Andreessen co-founded one of the venture firms most heavily invested in AI. Jones left Stanford this year specifically to join Anthropic. And that doesn't make their analysis wrong, but it does mean the definition of good productivity growth that comes out of this panel is being written by people who also have a direct professional stake in AI adoption getting counted as a success. MIT economist David Autor draws a distinction worth borrowing here. Automation tools remove the need for a person's expertise. Collaboration tools multiply the value of the expertise that's already there. And from what I'm seeing with clients, that split predicts almost everything about which version of the productivity story a company ends up telling. This is not hypothetical. In May 2026, Starbucks Korea ran a marketing campaign developed with AI timed to a date that turned out to be the anniversary of the Gwangju uprising, using language that echoed a notorious 1987 case from the same period of Korea's democratization movement. Nobody in the approval chain caught it before it launched. The AI could generate a phrase that pattern matched as catchy. It had no access to the historical memory that made the phrase unusable. And in that moment, neither did the people reviewing it. Every store in the country closed early, so employees could go through cultural sensitivity training, and it cost leadership their jobs. This isn't a new problem that showed up with AI. It's the same problem outsourcing already ran, just slower. For 20 years, companies moved core process work to outside providers to cut costs. And research on outsourcing capability loss, including work distinguishing tacit from explicit knowledge transfer, and a study on tacit knowledge transfer in IT outsourcing at a Swedish government agency, keeps finding the same shape. The explicit process, the documented steps, moves cleanly. The tacit knowledge, the unwritten judgment about why a process works and what to change when it stops working, does not move with it. And when companies try to get that knowledge back, the backsourcing research shows the same gap in reverse. What comes back is the vendor's task level documentation, the scripts and the procedures, not the judgment behind them. The tacit knowledge was never in the handoff, either direction, because the outsourcing relationship was only ever built to carry the task-based kind. This isn't just an old pattern repeating quietly either. It's in this year's own reporting. Harvard Business Review wrote in June 2026 about AI rewriting the economics of outsourcing directly. And Fortune reported in May 2026 that manufacturers now reshoring production are hitting a bottleneck that has nothing to do with machinery. Is the knowledge that never came back with equipment because it was never in the equipment. It was in the people who used to run it. MIT's own research this year confirms it. Its 2025 State of AI in Business report found that most generative AI pilots, about 95% by its count, showed no measurable P&L impact at all. But the clearest exception, the place AI actually did produce measurable return, was back office automation, cutting business process outsourcing, and external agency costs. The highest return use case in the data is AI replacing the outsourcing layer itself. Interestingly, that's the exact mechanism showing up again with AI, just faster and harder to reverse. If a deployment removes the people who held that judgment, an organization doesn't just lose the headcount. It loses the same tacit knowledge outsourcing already proved disappears first and is harder to rebuild before the next AI deployment gets signed or the next outsourcing contracts gets renewed. Name the person inside the organization who still understands why the process works the way it does, not just how to run it. If nobody can answer that question, the organization has already lost the thing that would let it improve the process later, whether or not headcount changes at all. The AI productivity debate isn't a new fight. It's the same knowledge migration pattern the last 20 years of outsourcing already ran, wearing a faster engine. Good productivity growth keeps judgment in house, even as the task moves out. Jobless productivity growth exports the task and judgment together. And by the time anyone checks, there's no one left inside who can tell you which one happened. And that's an uncomfortable question to sit with. And most executives would rather not. Ask it anyway before the Fed publishes anything. Which kind of productivity is your organization actually building? And was the definition you will eventually be measured against written by people who also profit from a particular answer? That's one path. Go break yours.